what I'm trying to do is tell men, look, you feel like crap. You don't sleep good. You don't want your wife as much. Your wife doesn't want you as much. You're fat. You can't go play soccer with your kids because you're too unhealthy too. You don't know how to teach your kids how to play football outside because you're too unhealthy too. There's obviously a real issue here. And what I'm trying to do is get guys to get off their ass, grab their life by the balls essentially, and get back to where they need to be.
What's up, Josh? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for jumping on. I'm excited about this. I think I've been following you since Teen Nationals 2013 when you won, right?
Yes. Well, I won my weight class in 2013, and then I got third in my weight class in 2014. So yeah, it's been a hot minute.
That's bogus.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah. We'll give everyone a little bit of background on who you are. I know me and anyone that knows me will probably know who you are, but 20 people that probably don't.
So my name is Joshua VOGEL. I am a former bodybuilder / powerlifter / physique athlete to some degree. I've been competing in bodybuilding since 2011. I did that literally nearly every year from 2011 until 2018. That was my last competition where I competed in NPC Nationals. From 2011, I started at I was 15 years old when I did my first competition, and then I was 23 maybe. Shoot, time's getting away from me now. 23 in 2018 when I did my last bodybuilding competition. Won multiple titles in there. Had awesome professional mentors, many top-level IFBB coaches. You know, the whole 9 yards. Got a lot of experience, a lot of good knowledge in that time. As well as that, turns out, one day I was like, man, I'm pretty freaking strong. I want to do a powerlifting competition as a teenager. No idea what I was doing. Literally squatted the day before I went to a powerlifting competition, won the team lifter award or something like that. I forget what it was. And then progressed into actually doing very well in some powerlifting competitions, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. I typically check every month because I do like to let myself know, but I still hold 4 state records in Florida across 2 weight divisions. So 198 and 220 for I think they call it juniors. It's like the 20 to 24 age group, if I'm not mistaken. But that age group, I still hold squat, bench, and deadlift in the 220. And then I think the total in the 198 class, which it's all over 1,700 pound totals. My last powerlifting competition, I squatted 700, benched 419, and deadlifted 640, if I'm not mistaken. So that's about like the peak of my strength. When I was actually competing. And then, I assume Chris will tell you on the intro, or has told you on the intro by this point, I currently actively serve in the United States Army, the greatest fighting force the world has ever known, which is shocking because I work with idiots, but a lot of great people too. So that's kind of what I do. I work air defense artillery with the Patriot missile system. I currently serve as a headquarters platoon sergeant, and my days are very, very busy. On top of that, I go to school full time. I study business administration with a focus on entrepreneurship. I run my own online coaching business, and then help my wife with her business, which is graphic and web design. And we are also starting a women's clothing line as well. So her and I stay very, very, very busy. My days are nonstop from 4 a.m. until typically 11 p.m. Everything's very regimental. It's just kind of how my life is, and that's a little intro about myself.
Well, we learned that from bodybuilding, right? To be regimented, that discipline, I think, pours off into everything else. And did you wrestle in high school?
In high school, my freshman year, I wrestled at 103 and 112.
I never wrestled, but one of my buddies did. And you just see that discipline from such an early age. It gets ingrained in you, and it pours over in the rest of your life and helps you be successful in that aspect too. I know that you just barely touched on the coaching thing. But you do pretty big stuff with that. I know you've helped over 200 guys really get their health and their fitness back on track. And that's a huge, huge ground to be made for someone getting into what we're going to be talking about, reclaiming their masculinity, right? Reclaiming their manhood. It's a huge grounds for that, taking massive territory.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I know I did, like you said, I touched a little bit about the coaching. Coaching is something I got into in 2015 because, like most people, I worked out, read some books, thought I was knowledgeable, and had just my buddies were like, hey, can you write me a workout program? I was like, yeah, that's easy. And I wrote a few workout programs, and then people started wanting to give me money in my local area. And I was like, oh, that's a cool little way to make extra money. And, I'm a teenager, could always use an extra $100 here and there.
Yeah.
Wanted speakers for my truck. I was like, yeah, I'll write someone's workout program. Like, let's go ahead and do it. But it evolved, and I started learning more, started getting around some of the right people, got to work with some of the guys at the lab at University of Tampa, their Human Research and Performance Lab. Got around just some like-minded guys who were very, very smart, way smarter than I'll ever be in the field, and got to learn a lot, experience a lot, and really understand what all is going on behind the picture with exercise science. Got around some great mentors like Ben Mikulski, Joe Bennett, Jordan Peters, just some top name guys who have coached and helped me like one-on-one.
Yeah.
And, I just kind of tried to soak up everything that I could. And I was like, well, I'm helping people here and there along the way. Let me give it a go and really dive into it. And, I now focus solely, my whole thing is helping men reclaim their manhood. But I've worked with men, I've worked with women. If you count all the people I've worked with, it's well over like 350 people, including male and female. And like the main thing I focus on is telling these people like, look, I'm not here to just help you lose weight. I'm here to literally help you change your whole life. Because as you know, as I know, as some of the people who might be listening know, once you start eating right, once you start training, you have to be regimented. You have to start to sort your life out. I can't wake up and if I was very overweight or if I was very skinny, I can't wake up and be like, today I'm going to change my life. And guess what I'm going to eat? Not have a plan, go through life. But that's anything. You can't expect to get a pay raise at your job. You can't expect to find the woman that you want to marry unless you wake up with an actual purpose. You can't just go through life like, I hope something good happens today. I hope that maybe healthy food's going to fall into my lap. No, because we all know how it works. If you don't wake up with meals prepped or some sort of idea of how to eat structurally through the day, and this is what I got to do here, this is what I got to do here, you're going to end up at the gas station, you're going to grab a bag of chips, you're going to grab some little taquito rollers, you're going to grab a soda. I know for a fact. I've been there. I've been there in life. I've been through those ups and downs, man. And it's one of those things like you have to be on top of it. So yes, I'm helping when I say I'm not just coaching, I'm helping men reclaim their manhood because my main focus now is getting guys to be the best version of themselves. We have, and I'm sure you agree with this, Jordan Peterson is one of the guys I follow. He talks a lot about this. There is a sort of male epidemic that is going on. And that's not me saying that men are discriminated against or men don't have advantages. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that modern masculinity is under attack. That there's a certain political agenda that is being pushed. I don't like to get too much into the political agenda, but there's a certain group of individuals who are trying to take away powerful, strong, military-age men because if they know they can do that, they can control like everything else. Not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but look at what they're pushing. They're pushing unhealthy foods. They're pushing people not to go to the gym because I've seen that gyms for neo-Nazis or something like that. There's some article out there. They're telling men not to be men, like what we're supposed to do. I mean, we're hunter-gatherers at heart. We're designed to eat meat, forage our vegetables, build a shelter, provide for our families. At our core, that is what we're supposed to do. They're putting chemicals in our food. They're telling us that soybean oil is good for us. They're putting a bunch of crap in our water system. They're doing stuff. And if you look at testosterone levels throughout the years, if you look at fertility rates, if you look at the total amount of kids being born, everything is drastically going down year after year after year after year for the past 40 plus years. There's obviously something going on. What I'm trying to do is tell men, look, you feel like crap. You don't sleep good. You don't want your wife as much. Your wife doesn't want you as much. You're fat. You can't go play soccer with your kids because you're too unhealthy too. You don't know how to teach your kids how to play football outside because you're too unhealthy too. There's obviously a real issue here. And what I'm trying to do is get guys to get off their ass, grab the life by the balls essentially, and get back to where they need to be. Because if we can do that, you can start to fix families. When you start to fix families, you fix an entire culture. When you fix an entire culture, you can then change a city. Is that big? Of course it's big thinking, but that's what I do. So that's just kind of what I'm after, man. Just to bring back on the topic. I know I just...
Well, I mean, the thing is that you're doing is you're forcing people to do everything in their day-to-day life with intention. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you hit everything nail right on the head. I thought that was great, especially like there's been a lot of stuff coming out about the soybean oils and all the seed oils as a whole. And my wife and I are trying our best to stay away from it. I'm trying to tell everyone else about it. It's so difficult.
It's in everything. It's in everything. It's in every restaurant you go to. And I'm not like, you can't have any seed oil. It's going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. Is it unhealthy? Yeah, everything is unhealthy to some degree. But if you can do your best to limit it at your home, the food you eat on a day-to-day basis, and 1 to 2 times a week it slips in your food because you stop to get Chick-fil-A because you're in a rush, or you go out to dinner with your wife on a date, yeah, it's not going to hurt you. But I will say,
Chick-fil-A is okay. That's God's chicken. Like, it's blessed. Like, doesn't matter what you eat.
The calories don't even count. Like, you're telling me that Chick-fil-A sauce has soybean oil. Fine, I'll bathe in it at that point.
Yeah.
It's anointing from the Lord himself, like.
Yeah. Well, we'll dive into this a little bit more, but before that, what are we drinking?
Tonight, I put mine in a coffee cup because I thought the whole brewing up a conversation, I was like, oh, I'm going to be clever and not use a whiskey glass, use a coffee cup. Meanwhile, Chris brought an actual whiskey glass, and now
my bad.
We got little Jack Daniels. I have a full bottle, but I bought shots just to not look like an alcoholic, which I'm not. And then we got Coke Zero.
I messed up. I got the big one. All right.
He made the right first person to admit you can call me the biggest hypocrite because I know someone right now is like, he's drinking Coke Zero but talked bad about soybean oil. I did. Look at people who drink this and cut soybean oil out of their diet. They look great. Look at people who cut this out and keep soybean oil in their diet, and they look like shit still.
Well, I think that everything we said goes right into the title I thought of this, which was the Modern Masculinity Epidemic. I think even just as a whole, society is trying to change the definition of masculinity. From the old school masculinity being labeled as toxic, and this new school being all about it being inclusive or being agreeable, so self-aware, which self-awareness is extremely important, don't get me wrong, but you Google it and you get these random like attributes about someone that they just don't align. It doesn't align with how we were created to be, how hormones make us be. As you touched on, we're hunter-gatherers, like we are meant to be somewhat aggressive, take on hard tasks, like get that adrenaline pumping.
So there's a few things I want to talk about because you just brought out a few different points. I want to make sure that I don't lose them. The first thing, modern masculinity. For people watching, some of my friends, we all know about people like Andrew Tate. Am I an Andrew Tate fan? No. Am I an Andrew Tate hater? No, because a lot of what he says, he brings up real world problems that are happening with men. Men hate their jobs. Men hate their lives. Men can't get girls. By getting girls, I see it as men can't get married. He sees it as a plethora of women. Don't agree with that, but men can't get married.
Yep.
Men are having these real issues. The way he wants to fix it, I'd say it's like 50% right, 50% wrong. But that's not what I'm after. I'm not after go out, sleep with a bunch of women. That's your solution to everything. You hate your job? Awesome. Find something better. Oh, you don't have you don't have the credentials? Work extra. Sign up for school. Make it happen. Do everything that you possibly have to do in order to make it happen. Funny conversation I was having with my wife earlier. We were talking about a gentleman that I know who is losing his job because of some family-related issues going on. And when he started going through his divorce process back in October, pretty much he has from October till now, and he had to get his life together. He's done nothing but drink. He's done no extra work, no way to find extra money to put his kids through daycare, all this stuff. Men, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't care if it's sexist. Men have to do whatever they have to do to make something happen. If you really care about your family, which men throughout history have typically been the sole providers for their family. They are the bread and butter of the household. They hold it all together while the wife assists him in everything that they do. So, if you are a man and you cannot get your shit together in order to save your family, you are not a man. That is an absolute disgrace of a person. Because if someone came to me, I don't have kids. I don't know what it's like to have kids yet. One day I will. Someone came to me and said, hey, you have to get your shit together. You have 6 months in order to find it out. I will find it out in 2 weeks. I don't even need 6 months. I will do everything possible. Oh, I sleep 3 hours a night? That's fine. My family's together. I'm providing for them. I'm making sure they have a place to sleep. They have toys at Christmas. That's the type of mentality that people no longer have. And there's nothing inherently bad about wanting to be a masculine man. And by that, I mean there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to not have your wife work. I'm all for women in the workplace. I'm all for my wife. My wife makes more money than I do. I see nothing wrong with that. She sees nothing wrong with that. I'm working to make more money than her. It's just the name of the game. We're very competitive, but we work together as a unit. That is how it should be. However, if you are a man and your wife is unable to do more, you have to step up into your role in order to do more to make sure that your family, and even if it's just you and her, is okay, set up for success, and does not have to worry about bills every single week. That is what being a masculine man and keeping a family unit together is. And if you're a single guy, being a masculine man as a single guy, just because you don't have a family unit, you have to keep yourself together. This doesn't mean waking up in the morning, jacking off 2 times before you get out of bed, to go eat a bunch of garbage, to look like shit, feel like shit, and work a shitty job to get home to play video games. You have to take control of your life. Not everyone has to be jacked. I'm not saying everyone does, but you don't have to be fat.
Yep. It's pretty hard to get jacked. I was having a conversation today with some people at lunch, and they were like, yeah, I just don't want to get jacked. I don't want to get huge. I'm like, and I just like slam my hands on the table. I'm like, dude, if it was so easy, I would be huge right now. Like, I would be ungodly massive right now if it was that easy. Like, yeah, sorry, tangent, but slam the tangent button. But, yeah, like you said, you don't have to be, you don't have to compete to feel masculine. You don't have to be at that level of fitness, but man.
No, but there is something in there's just some sort of like intrinsic value to doing something that makes an impact in the world. Oh, you go set out an office cubicle and make outbound sales calls for whatever telemarketing company you work at while you're in this little box all day to go home to sit in your little Oculus and play video games. That's not life. That's what you're supposed to be. There's so much more to it. And then if you think like, if that's your life, what type of woman are you going to attract into your life? It's going to be someone in the same realm as you, and you're never going to get past that.
Yeah.
Like there's opportunity out there. There's so much. There's a whole world to see. And people keep themselves in this little box and never want to do anything.
It's so interesting. I mean, growing up, like, and I still love it. I'm a gamer. I mean, we talked about it. Like, we talked about RuneScape like a few years ago or something, I think, right? And like, there's a time and place for everything.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so easy as we're getting like, I mean, back in the day, like, we were closet nerds. Like, we didn't talk about gaming. You got made fun of. And now it's like,
I tried not to talk about RuneScape in middle school because I didn't want some girl to hear me because I wanted to ask her for dance.
Right? Yeah.
But no one said no, but I still wanted to ask.
Dude, but now it's you if you're not gaming, it's just pushed on you, right? Like, it's pushed on you in that if you're not doing this, you're a loser. Like, you should sit at home. You should watch Twitch streams. And these girls, like, now they have like a hot tub, like, Twitch category. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing? How have society just disintegrated so much that people are, I mean, it's more accessible OnlyFans.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
I think it's, end of the day, sex sells. Men spend money
on
sex. It's a money ploy. It's a marketing thing, and they know that. I don't know if they know that or who they even is, but I just think that people in those positions understand that there's a lot of money to be made because there's a lot of guys who, I mean, it's like 35%. Fact check me. 35% of like the population is now obese.
Oh, it's insane.
You have this massive population of obese people who do nothing but sit, play video games, and jack off all day. Of course they're going to spend money because they're not getting touched, they're not getting love, they're not getting affection. So if they put some girls in a hot tub or some girls on OnlyFans who charge you X amount of dollars a month and then to pay to text them or whatever, it's like, of course these dudes are going to spend their money. And then once they get in that position, why would they ever want to better themselves? Because they're getting some sort of dopamine release because some girl 50 times out of their league is talking to them when it's probably just some dude on the other end of the line, like as hired as a little agent messaging them. these people are never going to better their lives because they got some girl saying, "Ooh, I want you, daddy." It's like, dude, come on, how stupid can you be?
Exactly. I think that's part of it too. Like we've gotten, I know Andrew Huberman talks about dopamine. I mean, that's like, I think how he got massive is talking about dopamine and how our day-to-day lives, at least in America, is such a dopamine overload, and no one wants to get uncomfortable anymore, which leads back to exercise and that being the best platform for getting uncomfortable because it betters you in so many different ways. But I try my best to think about how we got here as a society. And I mean, like you said, without getting too conspiracy political, there's a method to the madness that is certain people are doing. But how do we counteract this? Like in your eyes, how do we counteract this?
The best way to counteract it, and this actually, I'm gonna talk for a minute here. I'm just gonna let you know, take a drink, talk for a minute. Earlier you said that inclusivity and people are just so willing to search for agreeableness, or not agreeableness, but just willing to, I don't know what phrase you said. Acceptance. Yeah. People are just so in search of acceptance, so in search of inclusivity. Inclusivity doesn't mean anything good. Acceptance doesn't mean anything good. Men have to make decisions. I think it starts with a mindset. It starts with you understanding that you have to wake up, hop out of your bed, and do something. I live on a 3rd floor apartment. If that something is walking up and down my stairs 5 times, as a start, that is something better than you did the day before. Yeah. It starts with that because, end of the day, men have to make decisions. If you want to make a lot of money, you have to be a decision maker. If you sit around and be like, "Oh, I don't know about that one," money, opportunity, jobs, connections, it's all going to fly right past you. Think about when you go on a date with your girl, or with girls you dated in the past, or anybody listening with a girl. "Hey, baby, what do you want to eat?" Obviously, you're going to say every single time, "I don't know." It just happens. I think that's what they're programmed to do. I think when God made women, it's, "I don't know what you want to eat." And they're like, "All right, I don't know what I want to eat." But what if you're a guy? What girl is going to want a guy when they say, "I don't know what I want to eat"? And you go, "Damn, I don't know either." Make a decision.
We're hunter-gatherers. Let's go figure it out.
Be like, "All right, we're going to go X, Y, and Z." And they're going to say yes or no. If they say no, be like, "Well, that's where we're going." And that's something that they absolutely hate. But like, you initiate that decision-making process because that's just how we are. If women were in that position, then they would tell you right then what they want to eat. But they're not. They leave it to you. And that is a scientific fact that women do not know what they want to eat because they want a man to pick it out. And that's science.
Agreed.
The next thing, so essentially start to understand that your life is all a decision. Everything that happens to you is a decision that you make. Every good thing, every bad thing is because of decisions that you make. Did you lose your job? Okay. Why? Oh, the economy is bad. Was it? Or were you not just a good enough worker? Were you able to keep your job? Because of decisions you made previously to not get you in the positions where you needed to be. Seems like a stretch, but think about that. Not everyone from a company is laid off at one time. They keep people. Why do they keep certain people? Because they're usually good workers and they're usually vital. If you're at a low-level position in a company, you need to go in every single day and make the right decisions, the right choices in order to work your way up that ladder if that's where you want to be. If you hate that company, work your way up the ladder as fast as you can and as hard as you can and use that as leverage to get into another position in another company that suits your values more. And you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. Oh, I don't have money. Do you really need something? Are you drowning in debt already? And should you be going to the movies and throwing it on your credit card? Probably not. That's a decision you make. The reason you're in debt is because you chose to do so. The reason you have a high interest car payment and you're $30,000 in debt on a car you shouldn't have, making $30,000 a year, is because you chose to do so. Everything is an absolute choice in your life. Some people make better choices than others. Some people get lucky. The people that get lucky, they have to still make good choices in order to keep getting where they need to be. Because you can have an idiot, and we all know an idiot who got lucky one time in their life. Or were they able to keep that position? A lot of times that idiot gets thrown in somewhere, fake it till you make it, and he decided, shit, I got to change stuff, and he made it happen. Everything comes down to a choice. So when you say, what can we do to fix the epidemic going on, I think the first thing is making a choice. What are you doing? What can you do? Where can you go? You lay out a game plan, and you make the choice to lay out a game plan, and you start working for it. What are your near-term, short-term, and long-term goals? What can you do in the next 2 to 4 weeks? What can you do in the next 6 to 12 months? What can you do in the next 2 to 4 years? Start making the choices, map out a game plan. No coach in the NFL, no coach in the NHL, no coach in any sport ever does not go into a game without a game plan. Professional athletes are paid millions of dollars. Why? Because they have a game plan to win. The reason why you're getting paid $12 an hour to work at McDonald's is because you don't have a game plan to get to the top.
Hey.
I need a drink.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm running low, man. I might have to open up that other one.
I know. So I say it starts with obviously your choices. Through your choices, you need to understand that it's your health is vital. You do not want to be an overweight individual, 45 years old, who got lucky enough to have kids because you're an overweight individual, probably a woman that you might love, but it's not who you thought you were ever going to be with. You don't ever want to get to a point to where you're 45, unhappy, and have regrets in life. Those are all still your choices. But if you do get to that point, understand that you can change it. You can fix it. You can make yourself feel better. Imagine if you're a mother. Let's say, imagine you're a father. And you're one of those people who are so large it's hard for you to walk. And you have a daughter. Do you want to have the chance to walk her down her wedding aisle? Or are you not going to be able to walk that far because you're so out of shape, your body hurts? Think about that. Ask yourself.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror and be like, is this who I really want to be? Because I promise you, no one who is obese wants to be obese. They might not know how to change it, and it's very simple steps. And they might say, oh, I've tried in the past, but it didn't work. But did you actually? Did you actually take everything that it took? Because everyone can. Sometimes it's a lot harder than others. It's not that easy when you get to a certain point, but it is still a choice, and it is a constant choice. Motivation is absolute bullshit to some degree. At some point, everyone wakes up motivated. But tomorrow, I'm going to be tired as hell. My motivation goes away. What happens then is that motivation has to be actual dedication. And you have to understand, man, look at my wall. That's my game plan. This is where I want to be. Do I really want to get there? Do I want a better job because I'm more mobile? I can do more at work. Do I want to look better so I can find the love of my life? And do I want to eventually have a kid that I can walk down their wedding aisle and dance without their wedding? Yeah, I do. That's my dedication. You do it every single day until you get where you need to be. And once you get where you need to be, you revise your game plan, you make a new game plan, and say, I can be better than this because I'm still not done. And the issue that happens is society will tell you, and it's all across society. It happens in the army. It happens it happens outside the army. If you go on social media, everyone tells you, love yourself how you are. Fuck no. Do not. Love yourself for certain aspects. Maybe your personality is great. Love it. But you can always be better. There's always a criticism to be made. No one at the top of their game, no one at the top of their craft ever looks in the mirror and says, you know what, I'm done trying for a little bit. They always think, what can I do next? That's what I got.
I love it. I love it. So if you were to break down in 5 words what true masculinity is, 5 attributes, what would you say it is? And while you're doing that, sorry, Mom, cracking the second one.
Integrity, courage, dedication, fitness, but fitness as a whole is your spiritual well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, and your nutritional well-being. Well, all encompass that into complete fitness. All those go into
total wellness.
Yeah, well, we'll call it wellness, yeah, but everything in there. And then the 5th one, I don't think I need. I think I got 4.
I like it. Now, what would you, what are 5, getting back to something you said earlier, I'm glad you brought up Andrew Tate. Of course, he's such a buzzword, hot topic right now.
I think that's also part of you want to call it a character. The character, it's like Liver King. It's a character.
Exactly.
Like, what can I do to make $100 million quick online? Okay, that's awesome. Do I disagree with it? I don't know. Do what you got to do. Understand you have a very strong influence, and that people will take what you say by gospel. I mean, even, I'm sorry to go off topic, Liver King, I'd say 60% of the 60% of things Liver King says is right. So 60%, if he has 60% right, 60% of that is really right. And I think there's a lot of good aspects. He talks about rite of passage, becoming a man, becoming stronger, getting to your roots, like, you know, being, like he calls it primal. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's what you should want. You should want to be at your core. Do you have to eat raw bull testicles to do that? No. There's nothing wrong.
You can't hate his message. Like, the underlying message you can't hate.
Yeah.
Because it's positive. Yeah. And it's, in a sense, kind of like, I completely agree with you on Andrew Tate, but his underlying message for like the things about becoming better and pushing yourself to do better, I agree with. His methods and his views on women and relationships, again, like you said, don't agree with. I'm glad you brought that up, though.
That's like, but the message, everyone can have a good message. Trump's probably the most controversial political figure on the right. Joe Biden's
you love Trump, I know.
Joe Biden's a controversial person on the left. At their core, their messages, we love America, we want to fix America. Their methods are completely different, and that's where everyone disagrees with it, which is fine. It's okay to disagree with people, but their core message is this. It's where you get into the actual details of how is where the controversy starts. And then you have figures like Tate and Liver King, where they're like, okay, people are going to disagree with these points, but if we take these points and go way out here with it, it's going to funnel. Everything's going to funnel back to me, and people are watching my videos, buying my stuff, because bad press is good press. End of the day, bad press is good press. And a perfect example is the Trump effect, man. He could say whatever he wanted, knowing he could say that, because he didn't care, because everything brought people back to him. Best news ratings, best whatever he claims it is. I don't even know at this point. But everything came back to Trump. News cycle, every news cycle, Trump. It's still Trump. And he did it perfectly as becoming a celebrity political star. Whether it's an actor or not, I don't know. But it's a perfect example of somebody that can say inflammatory shit in order to get the publicity that they want, in order to make more money. That's it.
Yeah. I was listening to the Rob Bailey podcast. I've grown to really love Rob a lot over the years. I've seen him grow, flag nor fail, and everything. But him and this guy, George Bryant, who's a marketing master, they were talking about Liver King. And yeah, it is so funny how people just hate on him because they're like, oh, he says he's natty, but he's not. It's like, okay, let's get over that, guys. That's so surface level.
You
let's get
actually believe that you are a moron.
Yeah, exactly.
He's bigger than bodybuilders taking steroids openly. And it's like, okay, no.
He's so lean. Yeah. Like, consistently always way too
And he goes, I carry kettlebells for 3 miles. Okay, then how do you have an upper chest? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, obviously there's something else going on there. And then he defended riding in a private jet and owning Lamborghinis and all this stuff, but you got to be primal and sleep on the floor. Like, come on, dude. Like, your leather carrier Lamborghini isn't primal at all.
Yeah, you need to ride a horse. Like, if you're going to stay true to character, bro, like, ride a horse around. Do something. Ride a Jaguar at this point. So if you gave me some attributes of true masculinity for people that they should be clear at this point, but if they're not clear, what are some traits of the false masculinity, which I think will then lead into another topic we want to talk about, which is toxic masculinity?
I guess anything that's how would I phrase this? Anything that's done for the wrong reason. So if you are doing things solely for political reasons, you want to make certain friends to take advantage of their group of friends in order to get into that. That's something a lot of people do. I mean, that's essentially politics. That's any sort of corporate level top position. It's the good old boys club. That could be a form of bad masculinity because it's usually male-oriented figures who are all using each other, will backstab anybody in search of an extra dime. That's somebody who puts everything else above themselves and and their family. It's a way of having some sort of a, how do I phrase this? Some sort of addiction, but not understanding you have an addiction and creating every excuse as to why it's not a good addiction. The prime example here is pornography. People have a huge issue, especially men, because men are the largest consumers of it. It's like the most consumed thing on the internet, like ×3. I forget the numbers, but it's like an insane amount of people visit Pornhub per year, like more than any other Google search. But guys will be like, it's not an issue, I don't need to stop it, but then can't stop doing it. If it's not an issue, show me you can stop it. There's a whole freaking like little movement, like No Fap November or whatever. There's like people can't even make it like 2 days into it. If it's not an addiction, then just stop it. Huberman talks about it. Jordan Peterson talks about it. There's a lot of other neuroscientists that I've listened to. They're like, it's 100% addictive. When you go look at, what is it, like John Hopkins, or like got some little soy boy, skinny 100-pounder scientist being like, oh, it's not clinically addictive. Like, shut the hell up. People can't stop backing off and get out of bed and improving their life. That's clearly an addiction. You can say that sugar's not addictive, so why can't fat people stop eating fucking Oreos? Like, clearly there's some sort of addictive quality to it.
Yep. Even if it's not within that Oreo, it's well, I guess it technically would be, but it's the chemicals that are released whenever something is, when that's consumed, or when pornography is consumed, or when other actions are taken. Like, that's another epidemic in and of itself. I mean, but
that goes back into everything that I'm saying. You are choosing to wake up. You are choosing to type into your Safari bar, unless you already got it pulled up, which is an even bigger issue. You go to Pornhub.com or XNX or whatever freaking video site, because I've been there, man. I think every guy's been there at some point where you struggled with it. I'm open about it. I'm willing to talk about it. But it's one of those things, like, it's just not good. Like, the stuff that is on there is super heavy, super graphic. We know for a fact now through science that it will affect your long-term relationships. If you're in a long-term relationship and you're consuming lots of hardcore pornography, you are like 5 times more likely, don't quote me on that, but more likely to end up in a divorce or breakup. It is just not good for people to be seeing that all of the time. And like you said, like, it's a dopamine rush. You get this massive rush of dopamine because you feel good because you just jacked off. And then everyone who's ever jacked off knows afterwards you feel like shit. Everyone who watches porn, as soon as you're finished with it, you feel like shit. Why? That's not a good thing.
Exactly. You feel good after doing?
You get this quick 10-second rush of, man, this feels good, to be like, damn, what did I just do? And like, it leads to memory loss. It leads to you feeling like shit. Like, you're not going to then be productive. And that's what you do first thing in the morning. What the hell? Your whole day set up for failure now.
Yeah.
And you might have someone be like, well, I do just fine doing that. Do you? Is your life good? Is your life that good to where you're like, man, I'm doing great? No, it can always be. And it goes back to, you can always be better. If you're like, man, I'm so close to this promotion at work, what else can I do? I don't know, stop jacking off 5 times a day and then come back in a month and tell me if you're doing better. Try it. If you disagree with me, try and prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I don't have to prove you wrong, because I know for a fact that your life would be better.
They stop chasing the simple dopamine rush and do something fucking difficult. Go for a run in the morning when it's raining and it's cold, and do that for 15 minutes. And tell me you have not had a so much better day, because no matter what else you encounter in your day, it is so easy because you just did something, probably the hardest thing you'll do all day.
A prime example of doing something fucking hard is deadlifts. If you're doing deadlifts, if you're trying to do deadlifts for back, there's far better exercises. If you're doing deadlifts for legs, there's far better exercises. But there's something incredible about being able to pick up 400 plus pounds, 500, 600 pounds in your hands and able to just sit there and lift it. If you can do that, and if you can grind through the pain and the suffering that it takes to do that, your life will be better. Because if you can do something as simple, I say simple, as hard as lifting 600 pounds off the ground, then why can't you do this? Why can't you choose better? Why can't you choose a salad for lunch? Why can't you do that? Because you've already done the hardest shit you're going to do all day. If you're telling me that being like, damn, I probably shouldn't eat fried chicken, I should eat grilled chicken, is a harder choice than picking up 600 pounds off the fucking floor, you're crazy.
Yep. It's connecting, like that decision matrix you're talking about. It's building that chain of positive decisions that you starting out in the morning with something difficult, it will lead to you leaning more towards a better decision to be made, like to picking that salad with the grilled chicken breast. And I mean, we both know that you don't have to have a salad with grilled chicken breast to, have a good time and look good. But ultimately, that's just the sake of the argument.
I've been doing this for, I don't even know, I've been working out since 2010. However many years, 13 years I've been doing this. It's still hard. The choices aren't easy. The choices won't ever be easy, man. I love fucking potato chips. I love popcorn. I do. I really do. But if I wake up and I do my cardio, I do my sprints in the morning, and I hate running. There's not anyone who probably hates running more than me. But I will put on a vest with weights in it, and I will run 3 miles. I will do sprints in it. I will do burpees in it. I will do something hard. Because the rest of my day, I know, dang, I did something hard this morning. I don't want to eat this crap because then tomorrow I'm making up. I'm backtracking. And that's kind of just a mental thing where I'm like, shoot, gotta be better. And sometimes it's like, you know what? It's worth it. Sometimes having popcorn is worth it for me. Other times it's like, shoot, you know what? Not going to happen today. Not worth it in the slightest bit. So
I think all the popcorn and chips you'd ever eat would go right to your quads.
Yeah, probably for me. Stay for me, yeah. Which is a very good blessing, but that's because you can plan it too. I mean, shoot, there's so much to talk about, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. You'll have to bring me back on for another podcast where we can talk about more. But masculinity, I'm going to wrap a few things up here because I know we're starting to push for a little time, and my phone's dying. How can you be a better man? I would say the first thing is get spiritually right. And I'm not talking some come to Jesus moment. If that's your thing, awesome. For me, that's my thing. But get spiritually right in the sense that your mind is clear of all distractions. Whatever those distractions may be, however you need to do that, start focusing on your breathing, start writing in a journal, start planning out your goals. Spiritual fitness is a really big thing. And that doesn't mean going to church all the time or believing in any religion. It's getting your mind to a point to where you're like, man, I am religious about what I do day in and day out of my life. Understand that your life is the only time that you have to make things better. You don't get a second chance. You don't get a third chance. You get one chance. And the crappy decisions you make now can make the time span that you have to make better choices shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. You smoke, you dip, you excessively drink, you excessively eat junk food. That 80 years that you were going to live, you're now at 70 years. That's 10 years off your life. I know when I was young, I made a lot of stupid decisions. I've done a lot of things I shouldn't have. I had the mentality of, why do I care about being 90 years old? Now I have a wife. I want a family. I have family outside of like her. And I'm like, I want to be around as long as I can with these people. You have to realize, man, everything you do isn't just because, oh, I need to look better. It's no, I have a family to support and I want to be around. I want to see my kids, grandkids, and potentially great-grandkids one day grow up. Yeah. Because I see my own parents become grandparents. I see my grandparents become great-grandparents. There's no better joy than seeing that on their face. They're lucky enough. My family's fairly healthy, and they're trying to enhance their lifespan. Every crappy decision takes away from that. As a man, you should always be thinking far in advance. You don't think only tomorrow hits tomorrow, only tomorrow again. You have to always be planning, always be preparing, and always be executing. Everything that you do has to be a proper execution in order to get it right. And you're going to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. There's no shame in making a mistake. But there's shame in making a mistake and saying, you know what, I'm done. I quit. That was it. I've tried to launch a coaching business full-time 3 times. One of those times I made it work for a year and a half. I was able to get enough clients for a year and a half to do it completely full-time. And I'm actually at a point now where I work a full-time job and have enough clients to still do full-time coaching. But it's taken me so long, and I've tried different marketing, tried different back-end strategies. But I was young. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have the proper mindset at the time. But now that I know a lot more, I'm able to implement it more, and it's something that's grown. But I could have stopped a long time ago, and I wouldn't have the extra income we have now to be able to go do vacations and go do a lot of things. Because I love to go places and eat nice steaks. I love steak. There's nothing better in the world than me going to get a steak. But it takes time and time and time again. And that's just something that men have to understand is you're going to fail. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to lose sleep. You're going to have to sweat. You're going to have to bleed. You're going to have to cry. And it is okay to cry, and it is okay to be upset and tired, but you have to push through every single day. When I was in college, I worked 2 jobs and went to school full time. Well, I'm still in college. I tried college a few times. When I was initially in college, I was working. I was the hardest working 17-year-old on the planet, and I will put money on that to this day. Because no one worked more, no one did school. I'd be up at 4 a.m. to be at the gym at 5 a.m., to be done at the gym by 7 a.m., to drive to campus, to be in campus from like 8 to 1, to then go work, and then work again, and then probably work out again after that. And it was just not.
Is this when you were selling RVs?
No, that was way before that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This was a different time. That's when I was like managing a nutrition store for a few years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So RVs was right before the Army, which, by the way, to anyone listening to this, don't ever buy an RV. It's the biggest scam of your life. It's a hunk of shit. I promise.
Oh, man.
If you're thinking about
that's a clip.
Do it. Don't do it. Spiritually fit. Make better choices. Understand that you're going to fail. But there's nothing wrong with failure. The true failure comes from not trying again. Get your body right. Get your mind right. Focus on your family. Everything you do is going to be for them. If you don't have a family yet, think about the family that you want and make sure that you get the family that you want. Do not settle. You are worth something. You are a man at heart. You can get anything that you possibly want in life. And if you're a woman listening to this, you can get everything that you possibly want in life if you work hard. You have the same opportunities given to you. You can make the same correct choices. And that is what I believe can fix today's society. Is people understanding that it's not just everything has to be given to me. Oh, I'm in a position because it's inclusive. No, work for the fucking position that you want and make it happen. Don't just accept what's given to you. That's all I got.
Oh, yeah. A couple of things I'll touch on real quick. I know your phone's about to die, but I actually Googled like the 5 key traits of modern masculinity, right? Of just new age stuff. They call it empathetic, inclusive, authentic, self-aware, and emotionally intelligent.
I think emotional intelligence is a good one because a lot of people
100%.
think masculinity is like just some guy yelling at his wife or like the old time 1950s shit, or like make my dinner woman and like that type of crap. No, you have to be emotionally stable. Understand that. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this. I'm going to paraphrase him for a second before we end this.
Yeah.
The story of Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, Belle wants the Beast because it's something that no one else has. It's a very masculine, very scary figure. When the Beast tames himself, that is what women want. Women want a man who, when he has to be, is a beast, but is able to tame himself and I guess be emotionally intelligent enough in order to do so. So yes, that is everything else. There's better traits that I would put in there.
Well, I think you nailed it. And I mean, in that same clip, I think that's when Jordan Peterson, and I'm sure he brings it up multiple times, but he's talking on the Jocko podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and his quote is, "A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very, very dangerous man that has it under control."
Was it you rather have 100 warriors in a garden than 100 gardeners in a war? I think that's how the phrase goes.
I love it. The 5 attributes of, I guess, true masculinity that Google has was strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. Yeah. I thought pretty good. I mean, there's definitely more to be added in there. As we talked about discipline, I think emotionally intelligent and self-awareness are huge that are looked past with a lot of people. But we can talk more about that. But we'll wrap this up.
I want to end on one note. I'm sorry. I want to end on one note. So this is
go for it.
My professional mentor in the Army. I was actually at a speech he gave 2 or 3 days ago now, and he gave a story. So I talk a lot about mindset and how mindset is everything. And his story was there's a man who owns like a masonry business, and he goes to the place where 2 guys are working. One of the guys working is frowning, always bitching about his job, hates his life. When he says, "What are you doing?" he says, "Laying another brick day by day until my back breaks. I absolutely hate this. I can't get over this." He looks at the other guy who's a mason with him and who's smiling, talking great about his job. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Laying brick by brick until I build this masterpiece." They were building a cathedral. It's all about your mindset. You're building something absolutely beautiful. even if your life choices aren't good, you're still building something beautiful, which is your own life. Your mindset dictates how you go day by day. Whatever you end up building, you can build a shitty little shack, but if your mindset's good, you can be like, damn, that's a damn good shack. But if you are always like, man, this effing sucks, you could build the Eiffel Tower and you're going to look and be like, no, it's ugly, because you hate it every day because you chose to hate every day. So that's just what I would like to close on.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. We'll definitely have to chat some more about some other topics. But how can people connect with you? How can people learn more about the coaching you do and everything that you touch? Because everything you touch seems to turn to gold.
If you guys want to contact me, the best way, my main social media platform is Instagram. It is at Vogelitis. That is VOGELITIS. I'm sure that Chris might put a link in there somewhere.
I was going to say that.
Around.
I will
There's going to be a link.
1000% put it at least in the description of everything, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere this thing gets blasted to.
Okay, yeah, so that's the best. That's the best way to contact me through there. I have a link in my bio. Trust me, there's not only fans than a link in my bio, but there's coaching applications. Feel free to DM me. Feel free to reach out. Ask me any questions. Give me any criticisms. If you thought this sucked, tell me. I'll hop on a call with you and talk to you personally, and we can just hash out ideas. I'm always down to do whatever. So feel free to reach out on me with me there. There is one more thing I would like to ask, if it's okay. If not, edit this out, and I will send you the link personally. I have a very good friend and client of mine. His daughter, who's 5 years old, is in her second battle of cancer. If you post her GoFundMe link on your stuff, they are sending her to the absolute best doctors in America in March to get her shit cut out. If you can post that. If you don't have any money to donate to those listening, if you could at least just share it on your story, share it somewhere, send it to your mom. If you know someone has $5 extra, ask them, be like, hey, can I get $5 extra? And then donate, because she is a beautiful little girl who's going through another round of leukemia treatments or chemotherapy treatments. And she has a form of adrenal cancer for her. This is her second battle, and she's 5 years old. So if you could help me with that, man, that is awesome. I would greatly.
100%. I hope everyone can. That's huge. He's in at least my thoughts and prayers. That's tough. But I also encourage everyone just to give you a follow on Instagram. Just look at what you post. Everything is positive. If it doesn't inspire you, you're dead inside. So
if you don't have my Instagram, you suck.
Agreed. Well, dude, thanks so much, man. And I'm looking forward to having you on again.
Of course, man.